Hey, welcome, guys. It's Patdees. Thanks for stopping by. It's 5 o'clock here, Wednesday afternoon, and I reached out to our guest today, Reseller Mom Lucy, to be on the show. I found her on Instagram, and I've been watching her post, and I thought, she'd be a good fit to have on today and talk about Amazon. If you guys got any questions in the chat, don't be afraid to ask. Now, it'll take a couple minutes before people get notification. It's always hard to know what time to also go live, so that you're not stepping on other people's toes, or if some people are getting home. Now, Lucy, why don't you tell everybody who you are and where you're from California, right?
No, I'm up north. I'm in Washington, Seattle area. So,
okay.
I have family in California. I'm originally from Las Vegas. I wasn't quite born there, but grew up in Las Vegas. And after college, went. Something's falling in the office. Sorry, we have everybody at home. So went up to Washington to get a career and make things work up here. I absolutely love the rain and love the atmosphere, and I love the ocean. So I wanted to be next to the ocean. Was one thing that I really wanted to do.
I just assumed California when you said Pacific Standard Time. Because I just assume everybody's from California. It's like ironic because I found you on Instagram, and Wade, who's from that area, Wade Ventures, he's the one that told me to get on Instagram, and that's where I've been on trying to network, and I've been watching your post, and that's one thing I gotta learn is Instagram, is basically being able to utilize it properly to connect with your YouTube social media.
I love Instagram to just put out quick news flashes on, and I put out a lot of funny content or whatnot that I find funny,
right.
But it keeps me laughing. But yeah, Instagram is a great way to connect with the reseller community. Between all of the online platforms, I have found that a majority of everybody's over on Instagram and friends over there, and it's a great way to connect. I love Wade. Wade's fun. I have not messaged him in a while, but we went fishing with Wade for his birthday, not last spring, but the spring before, with everybody here in Portland. So I drove down and hung out with everybody for the weekend, and we went on a boat. We all threw up, by the way. It was a terrible trip. We all got seasick, but other than bonding over our mutual barfing over the side of the boat, it was great.
Yeah, he did a bowling party for a reseller meetup one year.
I thought that was at eBay Open, was the bowling, but I
thought it was a separate thing that he had done something. Yeah, he had done something himself, and it's hard to believe. I don't know, and then we're going to get into that. I've been on basically YouTube, social media, as far as a reseller now for 2 years. And basically this is about the time that I really started looking into probably started sending stuff into Amazon this time 2 years ago, where I met Scott, the bearded picker. And I started going on his show and started learning, the process of basically, it wasn't like he sat down and said to me, "Oh, Pat, this is what you need to do," but just basically listening to what they need to do, kind of doing my own homework. I started into the Amazon business. Real quick, let me say hi to a couple people. More people are rolling in. Borderline Hoarderish is my friend Kimmy. She's done shows with me. Thank you. Iris, thanks for coming in. If you got anyone who's in here, if you guys could share this out, I'd greatly appreciate it. We are going to talk about Amazon, and actually, I'm going to ask Lucy what other platforms that she sells on. Hey, Adam, thanks for coming by. Hey, Tom, how are you? Pamela, how are you? Pamela, thank you for stopping by. But all right, now, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about Amazon, but do you sell on any other platforms?
I do, but mostly, my Amazon rejects and anything that I can't sell on Amazon, I go over to eBay mostly, but I also have posted on Poshmark, Mercari. I've done a little bit of Facebook Marketplace, but none of those are really holding a candle to Amazon. And it's mainly for like when the kids grow out of their clothes, or maybe we have something that we're not going to use in the family, or I get something back from Amazon that I can't sell as new on Amazon, do I go over to those other platforms? But
Right.
this year during COVID, I did start my Shopify store that I had kind of been tinkering with in the past.
Oh, okay.
And so that is something that's completely like my brand and my vision. And I've put a little bit of work into it this year, but not enough. It's still just like super side hustle.
Right. Now, I've heard with that, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you really gotta, they don't kind of drive traffic to you, kind of are in charge of driving that traffic, but it's a template for selling like your stuff to sell on. But if you can get people to come over to you, obviously there is a customer base there, but it's not like Amazon, where there's already a big built-in. I mean, Amazon is the biggest, platform that there is.
Correct.
Hey, Jesse, thank you.
Yeah, so I design my items over there, and then I push them out to Etsy, eBay, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and Walmart. So
Wow.
it goes out to those platforms. And I'm on Merch by Amazon, but I haven't connected the two because I haven't.
Now, when you're selling on Shopify, without getting into like, what are you selling? Are you homemade crafts, shirts, things like that?
It's shirts and coffee mugs. The website's everydayattitudes.com, and it's just designs, and I have Printful that the order goes into Printful and then they print on demand. So it's a print on demand service.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but you're doing, I'll be honest with you. I've been on eBay as a part-time seller since 1998, and I always called myself basically a part-time hobbyist, meaning a lot of times I would sell things to make extra money to kind of my hobby of collecting lunch boxes and baseball cards, or vacation money. And then 2 years ago, I had closed my restaurant permanently because I had a health issue with cancer and needed something to do full-time reselling. I was doing Amazon or eBay more, but then when Amazon took off this past year, eBay basically took a back burner. Hey, Phil, Texas Bandit, thanks for the $5 super chat coffee break. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you. That has been my personal weakness, is basically, with Amazon. For example, and I'll mention, like, when the January and February, like 2019, I was doing $8,500. I did $8,500 that year. That was it. That was only about $900. It was my first year, and then all of a sudden, when the pandemic broke out, I got into hair products. So it was, I mean, stuff that I obviously don't use, but I had sold probably about $15,000 worth of hair products. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to take the picture. I was able to sell 300 of one kind. With eBay, you have to take it to get 300 pictures and get it up there right. Takes a lot of time. Mm-hmm. How did you? How long have you been doing Amazon, Lucy?
Well, I've been doing Amazon. Let's see here. In May, it will be 6 years.
Wow.
And before that, I was a production manager with about 150 employees and a quality manager. I kind of had both of those careers in the food industry mostly. And I have a degree in biology. So I'd been in the biology type of field for years. And the last two jobs I had, it was a constant grind, a constant 60 to 80 hours of work every week. And they just kept telling me, we need more, we need more, we need more. And don't worry, we'll take care of you. We'll take care of you. And then the companies would get bought out, sold out, go under, and wind up shutting down. And so after, I think it was 10 layoffs or 8 layoffs in 10 years, or 10 in 8 years or something, it was constant new jobs and shutting places down. And it was really rough. You get in, you make friends with people, you get to know the role that you're supposed to be doing. And then to find out that every place had a different story, but maybe mismanaged money or didn't have any money or got bought out or sold out or whatever, they shut the doors. And then, I have a lot of friends from all of those jobs, but then it would be, picking up my boots and trying another job out. And after so many, I got done with the last layoff and I'm like, I can't do it. Emotionally, physically, I'm spent. I just can't do it. And
Right.
I'm going to pour my heart and soul into something. It's going to be for me, myself, not for somebody else anymore.
Right. I wish I would have had discovered really the opportunity with Amazon 10, 15 years ago, because I was a franchise owner of Subway,
Oh,
and
okay.
I sold them and bought a regular restaurant, and that was honestly the biggest mistake in my life, because I never realized how basically it is hard to compete with name brands anymore. People buy into franchises, people buy into name brands. Mom and pops are just kind of falling off to the wayside. And what I'm curious about is, and there's still this big unknown that, like, how did you find out about Amazon, and how did you know that you could sell on Amazon? Because even a lot of the customers today assume that everything is from Amazon. I still get packages that come back or email, and and it's Amazon. They don't realize the third party selling.
So what happened when I got laid off the last time is I came home and I literally typed into Google ways to make money from home. I was really tired of missing my children's events. They are now 17 and 12, so go back 6 years and do the math. They were young. I was tired of not being able to help them with their homework, of always being late for dinner, of getting called out. I literally got called. If there was any sort of movie or family event, I would be on the phone trying to handle staff calling in sick or some sort of crisis at work that had happened. So I typed in, ways to make money at home. And I looked at everything from, I call them pyramid schemes, but the Mary Kay's and Lulu, what is it, Lulu Row or whatever, those
Right.
sell from
Yeah.
the house type of things, to eBay and thrift store stuff, to opening up a franchise, to I stumbled across Amazon and I looked at it and I'm like, oh, this is a way where I could make my own hours. I could work when I want to. I could do it out of the house. I could build it the way I want to build it, or at the speed I need to build it at. And started doing that with some used books from the Value Village. And I said, I'm going to try it out for 6 months. And at the end of 6 months, make a decision whether I want to go back to the food and quality service or if I want to stay with that. And I've been here ever since.
Yeah, and it's always, I think when you're in a retail and you get that steady paycheck, it's always nerve wracking to say, especially when you got kids and bills. For me, I was kind of forced into it because of a health issue, and not being able to find something else that once you told your story, they didn't want to hire you. And honestly, I'm 47 years old, and I was getting to a point where I already had put my time in, working all the weekends, and that if I was going to work the weekends, I wanted to get paid, overtime, or get paid a fair rate, not get paid $10 an hour to make somebody else's business successful, and not in a sense, not benefit myself. And it was one thing with me, and I don't know how you feel about it, was I know, and I started in books and stuff like that. But what I realized, to scale up, it basically takes capital and a willingness to sacrifice taking out money. Basically, if I need $1,000 to live on versus what, and my wife is actually still in the food industry. She oversees several Subways, so she has her paycheck coming in. But basically, I said to her, there were probably 15 months that I did Amazon, there was no money to be taken out of it. And then when I did go big numbers, I was, instead of like, wow, just taking a money grab, I was willing to get more items to sell and stuff like that. How do you view that as far as scaling up? And
I think there's definitely some truth, and there's a lot of different ways you can work this system. If you currently have a job, then it is definitely much easier to kind of build up, learn the ropes before you start making some large purchases. I see a lot of people, unfortunately, get roped into the private label idea where they're going to spend $5,000 and they're going to make millions off of that. And the reality
Right.
is they get hung up on something with customs or their supplier or there's a million different ways you can fail at that instead of growing naturally. I did the first 6 months of not paying myself, but I had the luxury of, again, with a layoff, you get severance and things like that. So I was okay with that. And we knew that it was going to be a bit of an adjustment for family life while this built up, and that was something that we needed to take into consideration. Now, before I started this, when I was working my crazy jobs, like I said, I was gone 60, 80 hours a week. You can imagine the stress that puts on your relationship. And basically, I got a job offer within a month for the same type of thing. And my husband said, listen, if you take that job, that's pretty much it. We're not going to be able to stay together. We're going to be going down the divorce pathway. And that's a really hard conversation to have. But if both of you are working so much and it was a constantly battle between whose job is more important and who gets to go get the kids when they're sick, who has to call out sick from their job when your child is home with the flu. And honestly, as a mom, I felt horrible if I had to go into work and my child is homesick. And it was a battle. We had daycare, there was the pick up and drop off at daycare and shuttling around and late to the game and things like that. And so it just wasn't the lifestyle we wanted. And we thought about it and we were like, that's not how we want to be living our lives. And I said, well, I'm absolutely burnt out with my job. And I don't really want to go back to it. I'm not like, gosh, I really loved working 60 hours a week for these guys. I was miserable because they kept doing the same mistakes and same problems, job after job, day after day. And so anyhow, after 6 months, I started paying myself so that we could make things, we're not rolling in the dough, but our quality of life skyrocketed. No, we weren't worried about making it to doctor appointments or who's going to cook dinner or, just so many things were so much better in our life, and stress and stuff like that as well. You talk about medical issues. We all have them. We all have something that's medically going on, especially if you're over 40, let me tell you.
Right. And you get, when you get tied down to a job and it's sometimes the choice of whether, if you own the business, do you close it that day? Or if you're working for someone else, you call off and then you lose the pay. Or let's be honest, I know dealing with employees, they at the drop of a hat love to call off. But when you're in a supervisor position or an owner or a manager position, it's not that easy just to call off because you're conscientious of that business. You have an effect on other people that if you don't show up, or it's just not in your mindset to do that. Mm-hmm. I know with me and my wife, now luckily I've been with my wife since I'm 16 and we're so like-minded that, we've gone years without missing a day. Mm-hmm. I know myself when there's been a couple times, like I said, well, sometimes I wish I would have found, sometimes I do, I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes I do wish I had a job for one reason, the people aspect.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's lonely being a reseller on Amazon. Now, YouTube has fixed that. Meeting people like yourself is fixing that. To bounce ideas, to have these conversations, to motivate each other. That's if you can get like-minded people that want to see each other succeed, that works. But that's easier said than done sometimes.
I have to say that as an entrepreneur, and doing Amazon is pretty much what everybody is if they're doing that. You from owning franchises and stuff, you have to be a problem solver, and there's no way you can sit here and blame anybody else. I can't say, oh, my boss is making me work this weekend, or my boss is doing this, or my boss. You lose all excuses, and you have to be okay with that. You have to step up and say, I am responsible for me, and any problem I have, I will find a solution for. So I had the same thing. I was lonely. You don't have anybody that. I don't have anybody in the house that knows exactly what I'm going through. And so when there is a problem, so you create that for yourself. I joined Instagram. I started YouTube. I got myself some buddies. I joined some Facebook groups, and now I have my little circle of work friends that I can call on or chat or, talk to throughout the day that solved that problem. So whatever the problem is, if you don't have enough cash flow, you need to fix that. If you are struggling with paying your bills, you've got to fix that. If it's a social aspect, you have to pay that. If it's health-wise, you've got to fix that. And you can't just go cry in the corner and say, oh, the world is out to get me. You have to be able to find the steps to overcome that problem and solve it so it works for you.
Right.
That was my
I
soapbox.
agree. Last year I was busy, and boy, I was on March, April, May. March and April I was busy. And then all of a sudden May, I remember it was probably around May the 12th, and I called up Scott, the bearded picker, and I said to him, "Yeah, I'm just not doing that good this month. I had got myself into expectations of doing certain amount a day and certain amount a week, and all of a sudden, like you go from 1,000 to, let's say, doing $200 a day, and I'm just throwing out a number, and he goes, well, I'm still selling, and he didn't tell me the product, but he told me the category. I said, oh, really? There's still, and because of that conversation, I went out and chased that product category for about 10 days, and I basically had doubled my sales in those 10 days. I finished the month so strong that month and it was just that little thing, just to have that 5-minute conversation with him that, and he could have not took the call. He could have said, oh, Pat, but he and I wasn't asking for a certain item. I'm reading the chat, so I got sidetracked a little bit, but I was like, even like I try to talk to some of my, and not everybody who's in the reselling community is loves YouTube, and I try to talk to them about my background and about basically taking some of those profits and then opening an IRA for yourself and doing things that over the long run will benefit them, and basically save themselves taxes, and in a sense the government pays you to kind of invest into your future. Let me real quick, Connie, thanks for stopping in. Oh, my buddy Eric.
Quite a few friends in the chat.
Yeah. Eric, I've actually, I call myself Patdees, the traveling picker. And that was one of the things I always said. People said, and I haven't talked to you yet about we'll talk about YouTube. When I wanted to do YouTube, people said, like, oh, Pat, what do you want to do? I wanted to be David Letterman / American Pickers. This was the David Letterman, like, interview people, have chats, laugh a little bit, do little silly things sometime, and then get out on the road and meet interesting places. Like I went back in 2019, I went down to Nashville and I met up with Scott and Shane and a bunch, probably about 25 resellers down there in Nashville. And I drove 15 hours straight. I was the one that drove the farthest. And on the way home, I stopped and saw Eric Weber, who's in there right now, and other people. So that was great. And then all of a sudden, when COVID hit this past year, couldn't really go nowhere. But then I just became sourcing. So it's always, for me, it's always I sell more, I do more on Amazon, but then I get out less to see people. So to balance that out, it's tough. Yeah, speaking of the devil, there he is.
I was giving Scott some heck. He posted a fried bologna sandwich, and there's some Southern food. My grandmother was from the South, from the deep South, and some of the food I just still don't understand, but that's okay. That's okay. There's a guy that travels a lot. We actually met up a couple times. The first time we met up, we went and got a steak up here, and I'm from Pennsylvania and stuff, but going to what made you do, and I know we're here to talk about Amazon, but what made you all of a sudden like, you know what, I could do YouTube? I did a lot of teaching at work, as a manager, and I was a quality manager for a long time. So I did a lot of food safety and just lots of training videos and training things. And so I wanted to do that and kind of document my journey and show what I was finding and have that connection out there. With the YouTube, you get to Scott's cracking me up.
He's a ball buster for sure.
When you do the YouTube, you get a chance to broaden your horizons. It also allows me to keep up with my speaking skills. I mean, when I was in high school, I was on the speech and debate team, and that just always translated over into work. I would often do all the training stuff. So I want to keep up on that skill and also network and whatnot, because if I do decide to change or do something else, this is a wealth of information. Let's say I did want to, do my own franchise. I now know somebody that's had a franchise. I could text you and say, hey, what are the things that you would look for or not look for in that? You just meet so many interesting people and connections all around, the world, the states, that it gives you that sense of community and stuff.
Oh, I agree. That's one of the reasons why I do it. I like to do the fun aspect of it, but sometimes you can run into negative people, and then you got to pull back a little bit. I had that experience where I pulled back for a couple months, just because it wasn't healthy. If people are hating or being negative, I was like, nah. But that's why I said, that's why now finally this year I got back into branching out. Now I have people actually reaching out to me and saying, hey, Pat, can we be on the show? Because they want to share their story, or, I make them feel comfortable, and they like that, the style, that this format. I've been doing, I don't know if you've been seeing any of my videos on my channel. I've been also doing a 12-minute format, but I felt with you, like, we could talk way more than 12 minutes. And because of the knowledge and the education that you give and the experience. Now, this past year, let's get back into talking about Amazon. Was this your best year, 2020?
Yes. I have progressively grown every year, which is good. And I'm a big believer in you should only compare yourself to yourself month after month, year after year, but also know what goes into that year. And we've had a heck of a 2020. It was an interesting year for sure, but I was able to make some changes in business and really pull out ahead. I did. It was my best year ever. I did have one year where I didn't really improve too much from the year before, but there was a lot of factors that went into that, and personal things that happened. You know how it is. If things happen in your personal life, you can't sit there and grow your business as well.
I mean, for me, I would hope if I was flattish year over year, I wouldn't mind. My problem is I was so busy, and then summer down, and then obviously spike again back into Christmas. I want to build this up, and and that was one of the reasons networking again and reaching out to you. I want to build this up to where I build like an average, and you have those seasonal spikes, like maybe 2 or 3 months out of the year, but not such a roller coaster ride because it's hard to adjust for that. Now. Yeah. I did, when you're doing, let's say, $55,000 in 1 month, and then you only do 5,000 4 months later, that's a big. Sometimes you're like, whoa, what did I do wrong? For some people, they're like, well, I enjoyed the break. But now, after the holidays here, I've been steady. Like I'm probably up. I don't know. I'm like percentage-wise over last January, probably 1,500 to 2,000%, something like that. Because now I'm trying to build it up where it's a steadiness, year-round, not that huge spike, but do a certain amount. Let me ask you, if you don't mind, and I don't want to ask what certain items you sell, but what categories are you selling in?
I did not insult chicken and waffles, first of all. Let's get that straight. I just said I don't understand it. I don't understand the combination and why people like that. So I do a mostly grocery and clothing, I would say, is my top 2 categories.
Oh, really? Okay.
Followed by toys and home goods would be the next ones. And what I'm trying to focus on in my business is ways to scale and build systems into my business, because I find that when you have a system of what you're doing and you find that it works and the system works, if you continue building those systems up, then it will be reflective in your sales, right? So I did a couple of things that have really helped me out in the last 6 months. One is I hired a packer. My son does some packing for me, but really college is kicking his butt, so he hasn't been there too much for me since school started. So I hired another teenager that comes over and does packing for me. So that was huge to say, sit down and put this item in a bag, add this sticker, and let her go. That allowed me to free up and research new replens or something like that. I'm also, building my OA game, scaling, and using other things like Instacart to have groceries delivered so that, again, I'm not out there shopping, not out there getting them, and scaling that
Wait a
way.
minute. You're doing Instacart to deliver to yourself to
Mhm.
sell, or just
Yes.
as and you sell those items?
Yes.
Oh, okay. The reason I ask is because I am an Instacart shopper.
Okay. Yeah,
And
I've done both. I've done the
yeah,
buying and the selling.
and that's really how I kind of came across. I started seeing some things like, oh wow, I could find certain things in certain stores, but I couldn't find them in other stores, and that's when it kind of gave me a little bit of the idea. Wow, I wonder if they're looking for this stuff on Amazon. Now I only do Instacart if it economically makes sense. Meaning
Right.
I basically got to make $12 an hour, or I'm not doing it. Um, I mean, I only in December I only did 4 orders, but I didn't think about because see, I know what the padded inflation is on Instacart orders, so I never really gave it any thought about having Instacart deliver the stuff to me and then reselling that. So I was wondering what you were thinking, because obviously the price is inflated.
Correct. So you have to definitely get things when they are on sale or on clearance. So one of the ones that I did was this candy that normally is $6. It got clearanced out to $2, and a multi-pack of 2 is going for $19.99. So my buy price base is $4 plus whatever Instacart is marking it up, but I'm then selling it for $20. So you've got to make sure the numbers are there. But Instacart does, on some of the local stores and things like that, you can find some deals that way. I'm just looking for ways that, like, okay, if I were to stop what I'm doing and drive to the store and pick up this candy and then drive back, what is that value to me monetarily if I just had somebody bring it to my household? Is it saving me 2 hours back and forth, or is it saving me 20 minutes? You've got to look at all the aspects with it. The other thing that I did this year is I brought on a CPA that is now my monthly. She does all my numbers and all my bookkeeping. And she goes through all my taxes and makes sure that I'm compliant with everything, which is good and something that I needed to bring on it, because I'm getting to a certain threshold that all that stuff is starting to get a little complex for me. And I didn't want to go to school for finance, so I needed to bring on some technical help. And I joined a group that is kind of like a bolo group, but it's very small. There's only 6 or 8 of us. And then this year I'm partnering with somebody, a friend, Tina, who is going to help, and we have kind of the same goals. So we have a goal for replens, and we have a goal for new wholesalers that we are researching. So we'll each take, one wholesaler for the day or the week or whatever, and research what they offer, how the process works, if anything was profitable, what we could do to make bundles. And we're going to be doing our own bundles with that going through. So that's kind of my 2021 goals there with her.
Real quick, Dirt Road Picker asks, what does percentage does Instacart mark up? Traditionally, from what I see, it's about 20%. So if it's if you would pay $10, you're paying $12. That includes pretty much the service charge. It all depends. I don't know because I'm not a customer. So if you join, I think they have plans for what, $8 a month, $15. So it pretty much works. It pretty much works out to be with that about 20%. So if you would go and pick it up yourself for $100 worth of groceries, you're paying about 120. Now, there's different ways to look at that. I mean, like Lucy says, how much is your time worth? Getting out the car, gas, things like that. It all depends. So,
and don't just look at Instacart. There's like 2 or 3 other comparable places that are like Instacart, but there's also the store pickup where you just drive up and they put it in your trunk, and then you can have it shipped to you. But I've had a lot of trouble with my shipments that I have delivered. I could show you one out in the garage that looks like a 2-year-old packed it up. I mean, it is just garbage. I'm sure half the stuff in there is broken, but I had too many broken items with the OA. So I started looking at the store pickup and things like Instacart. Some of the stores have their own programs too. It's exploded. The amount of that whole field has exploded with COVID.
one thing I know, and I like when I do sometimes Instacart. Like I was just recently a new store open, and a new package came out, so they were getting rid of the old package at clearance, and the stuff is still in code for like another 2 years, and we're talking like it was 25% of what, it was 75% off.
Mhm.
So they basically upped the package now by a couple more items, and they're charging 75%. So I bought them, and I've done that several times before. That when I'm there, all of a sudden, you pick up 10 of those, and you're talking like 5 minutes, you're making $25.
Yes.
So being on the lookout for those type of things.
Yeah, like Scott said that he finds more items when you get there. That is totally true. So yes, if you have the time, it's better to go do the footwork yourself, for sure. But some of us, there's just some instances where you don't have enough time to do it all. I wish I could source 24/7, but some days I can't.
You gotta be like Scott. Drive on the road. Don't get a hotel and sleep in the van. He's done that several times.
And you know what? There's probably going to be a point in my life where that might be applicable. But right now, like my daughter, she started online school the year before last. So she's been doing online school. This is the second year.
Yeah.
So I have to be here for her schooling. It's I don't have to be like directly there, but if there's any, I just need to be keeping her in check. So I'm able to do that while I'm here. So I'm tied kind of to my office space a lot more than what I would like, but it's made me look at other things like wholesale and having things delivered. I've figured out how to get pallets delivered to my house now, and all these other ways to bring products to myself or ship them straight into Amazon, whichever you can get done, and just look at things differently.
Do you now we didn't mention, are you primarily doing FBA or FBM?
Mostly FBA, but last year was a learning curve. I had never done FBM until last March, April, when we couldn't send things into the warehouse anymore. And I think I've done over 2,000 FBM orders since then now. So I did all FBM April, May, and then starting June, I started getting back into FBA. And then for Q4, I did a majority of FBM. For 3 weeks straight, all we did was package from the house, and I had to bring on some more help for that too, because we were getting backlogged. But it was crazy busy.
I created myself an issue that I can't now leave the house more. I couldn't actually travel at the same I did before, because back in 2019 I had 15 orders that were FBM, all the rest were FBA. Mm-hmm. This past year I did 7,000 orders of FBM.
Oh. And you're doing it all by yourself, or do you have somebody to help package? And was that over? How much time was that over?
Well, April was 2,700 packages. November and December was about 1,600 packages. I pretty much do it all myself. I mean, I did. You change the way you do things, because I tell you, I wasn't prepared when it got busy. I didn't have enough boxes. I didn't have enough padded envelopes. Yeah. I didn't have, and then you start to find better ways of like there was an item that I was throwing in a padded envelope, but I realized if something was thrown on top of it, it was going to get crushed. Mm-hmm. So I basically had to make up a bag. I got bags, and I put 2 pieces of cardboard on each side, and then put that in a bubble mailer, because I was worried about it going over the pound. Well, now that same item, I may still put in a bag, but now I have an almost an exact size box that it fits in, and it doesn't cost me any more than what that padded envelope cost. So you kind of create now I keep probably 300 or 400 boxes at a time easily, where back then, because again, I was sending FBA and doing eBay, here and there. I mean, there was I did a video not too long ago where I drove to one of the warehouses, and I mean, I loaded the car up with 400 boxes. Do I want to do 7,000 packages myself every year? No, probably not, unless it's more spread out and I'm tying myself down. one of the things, and you talk about online arbitrage, is there's a store I go to for clothing, and I find that sometimes I can't find certain things there that I can find on clearance online, and it's nice because it's all prepped when they ship it to me. It's folded, it's bagged, and there's no stickers to peel.
I love that. I love not peeling stickers.
Yeah. Where have you? Are you watching the videos of? Do you do Walmart clearance at all?
Oh, Walmart clearance. It's a love-hate relationship there. The pros of Walmart clearance is, yes, you can find some amazing things there. Don't get me wrong. There are some great deals there, but I definitely have some specific Walmarts that I will not source their clearance because they've been picked through. I don't know. It looks like they went into a what do you call it, like a composter or something, and just rummaged up and then spit back out. They look terrible. And a lot of times I see other people's Walmart clearance, and then it will be a couple weeks and then I get it on clearance. So I don't know if I'm on the rollout that's on the late end. So I'm usually already late to the game. The price is already tanked. It's not very good. But right. I do a lot of other things at Walmart. There's beyond the clearance. There's certainly things you can find to sell at your Walmarts that are not in the clearance section. So you just got to be careful because, like I said, sometimes you get into a Walmart clearance, the next thing you know, 800 people are there.
Yeah, that's, I ran into that last year. I had a Godzilla toy that was selling for $4 clearance. Mm-hmm. And it was $15, $17 retail. And I looked it up and I'm like, oh my, it's selling for like $12. I'm like, there's 75-cent profit. So I threw it in a box in the garage. Do you know we took it out this holiday? My son had said, hey, Dad, these are still out here? I'm like, no, because we have a 2-car garage, but we can only park in one side because I buy storage units too, and I do garage sales estate. So I'm trying to keep myself really busy.
Are you a hoarder?
Huh?
Are you a hoarder?
No, I'm not a hoarder. I mean, if you saw the house, you would probably say I am. But I mean, when you buy storage units, and then you in your head you say, well, I'm going to do the flea market, I'm going to do eBay, and then all of a sudden Amazon takes off, like it did. Mm-hmm. All that stuff kind of got forgotten about. I mean, there was a time that we couldn't park the cars in at all. And then my wife, she had foot surgery and said to me, hey, Pat, I don't want to be walking. I live in Pennsylvania and we get snow and ice. I don't want to be walking out there and fall because she's had 3 surgeries. So, well, I got to get out there and straighten up. So I did. Mm-hmm. But I rented now I have a box, like those, what do they call those?
Pods?
Pods. I have one of those.
Okay.
So it's a wooden pod, but it's a local person, and now I have stuff in there that I do. So you're primarily selling on Amazon groceries and clothes. Mm-hmm. You're sourcing. You're doing online arbitrage. You're doing retail arbitrage. You're doing wholesale.
Yes, I pretty much, with the way COVID's been the last, I'd say, almost a year now. Just on Sundays, Saturdays, and Sundays do I make it out to a Burlington or a TJ Maxx or things like that to source my clothing. And then during the week, I am doing online or wholesale type of orders that get delivered to the house. And then between myself and my packer, we get them packed up and shipped right back out fairly quick. But my packer called in today, and there's been some other things I've ordered, and now my garage is really full. So my husband's been kind of getting on that. He's like, all this stuff, I got to get this out. But so we have more inventory. So it's kind of balancing that order versus getting it in, getting it out to get it all balanced out correctly. I haven't mastered that yet. Seems like I'm either swimming in inventory or I'm got nothing. So
I have a question. How do you feel? I had, I don't know if you know Jess Hill at all. I had her. I did like 5 or 6 shows with her. Actually, it was 2019. What a motivational story that she has, and she sources a lot from Kohl's. Have you tried Kohl's as a sourcing opportunity?
Oh yeah. Kohl's is usually pretty good, but this last year my Kohl's have been just junk since COVID. The supply chain is messed up, and it seems like they're not wanting to mark down. There was a thread on her boards. Somebody had mentioned the same thing, that it looks like the managers are wanting to get more money, or they're not doing the markdowns as much as they would.
I noticed that too when I was going in. In other words, typically after Christmas, it's 75, and then it probably go to 90. Let's say, in other words, like January the 10th, it should be at 90, and you're not getting that. You're not getting that discount at that rate, and to the point where it's the discount is basically the same as it is if you had a 30% off sale. Now twice this year I got, our Kohl's had closed down for about 6 weeks, and I had the Kohl's cash that I couldn't use. And I was like, damn. And then I had another one, and I went 4 days late, and they wouldn't take it, because sometimes knowing how to even utilize that, because there's been several times where I've utilized that. Let's say you walk in with $120 worth of Kohl's cash, your cost is zero in a sense, so you're getting stuff that you can sell, and you're in a sense getting it for free.
Yeah. I like Kohl's for that aspect, and Kohl's was a big part of my business before COVID, but after COVID, after about 3 or 4 times of not doing good there, it's like, okay, I need to change gears, try something else for a while, let them get back up to par. Yes, we are functional hoarders for sure.
I'll tell you one thing, is I used to be a little closed-minded. There are 3 stores that I used to stereotype, and I said, I'm not going in there, because I'm glad through doing Instacart and last year looking for stuff, I'm glad I opened my mind up, because it may be, I may go 2 months and not find nothing in that store, but then all of a sudden, like I'll hit a home run. Say, like going back to Walmart, I was telling a little bit about before the show, there was a toy. 2 days after Christmas, I looked, and I'm like, oh my God, $15 for the toy. Now, this toy usually sells for $60 all the time in Walmart. And I looked it up, and it was selling for $90 on Amazon.
Nice.
And I'm like, oh, and I want to like show my excitement, or it's funny because then I quick grab the cart and I start loading them in, and a guy goes, oh, are they worth more? I said, they're clearance. And I checked out. I sold, I think it was, I wound up getting that day at 21 of them. I sold them out like within 3 or 4. So I made $800, but by the 10th day, and I went to other Walmarts. Some Walmarts didn't have them for that price, or more people jumped on, and now the price is basically in the 50s, the same what Walmart was selling. So to the point where the toy is so big that there's little money to be made right now, that selling that from that 50 to the 90 was pretty much the profit on that, like around $35, and they just destroyed it. Now, I only got 10 of them over here sitting to the side, but which is okay, because it's only about $150, and I already made my 800, so I didn't mind. Do you get involved in that game as far as like seeing like I see a lot of bolos on Instagram, and I don't want to say I've been burnt, because obviously you make your own decision. There's one bolo I jumped on, but I only had $100 into it, but I knew I could only sell it on Amazon, but I'm still sitting on them. I can't sell them. They're just not they're not selling. And luckily there's no expiration on that product that, I'm not worried. And it's $100. But I always worry about those bolos I see that people jump on them, and and if you're not quick enough, you're and not being able to get it right out. And then if you're going to send it in as FBA, forget about it.
Oh, good afternoon, Land Shark Picker. You're funny.
He's a troublemaker, Craig.
Yes, he is. So yes, but this is what I've learned over the years is if one of those bolos is out in a big group, everybody's already been there, done that, and you don't want to really jump on that train anymore. The other thing that we've learned over the years is a lot of these OA sheets or VAs that find product for you use tactical arbitrage. Now, I saw a huge uptick in people that were scoping out tactical arbitrage to up their retail arbitrage or online arbitrage game with COVID, and I'm sure they made a lot of money off of the uptick in that, and that's great for them. But what I find is that the tactical arbitrage route that people go is highly flooded. And unfortunately, with that flood, you're going to wind up with more duds than success stories. And that's kind of where my experience with OA sheets has been. Now, there are some good aspects to OA sheets. Don't get me wrong. But if you just go after exactly what the tactical arbitrage sheet has spit out and found you, you're going to wind up losing money with race to the bottoms more times than not. What I like to do is find the item, and then you find something similar, or you find a different listing that will be better to be on for that. Maybe a 2-pack instead of a single, right. Or, some sort of grouping, or, maybe it says one flavor of gum and you find a different flavor of gum that's out there. But tactical arbitrage is way overloaded. So one of the things when Tina and I were talking about our replens and stuff, we were talking about strategies. And the obvious route in the past has been get a VA, have them run TA, and find you some products. You go pick up those products. That is absolutely what we're not going to do. And I kind of find myself in any trend that's going on, I look for the trend that's going to be after that. Or, if everybody's doing it, I want to be on that boat, because that's not where you're going to make a lot of money. You're going to be you want to be on the boat that not everybody is on. Right. So we have some other ways of sourcing using just good old-fashioned groundwork, keyword searches, image searches, scoping out other people's stores. You can do that if you find something that you can source, and you can go and look at that person's store and see what else they're sourcing, and then kind of get an idea of how they're sourcing that. And don't underestimate Keepa. There's a lot of different things with the software that's out there that you can dive down into to find good replenishment ideas or good ways to source.
I've been having success in finding items that I could sell at regular retail, but I'm getting them at 75% off. Mm-hmm. So no, I'm not having to look like the bad guy in a sense, because you do get that email once in a while. Hey, I want to send this back because I found it for $3 cheaper at Walmart, and you're like, oh, geez, and then you try to explain it. But when Walmart, Target, and the average price of, let's say, an item is $22, and I'm able to come in and sell that for $21.97, and that my cost was only $5, and I'm pretty much, even after fees and shipping, I'm pretty much doubling my money. That's nice. Yep. The only problem with that is the quantity that you find is not always there.
Exactly.
And then if you do, you got to make a commitment. Like for me, I traveled almost 24,000 miles last year. Mm-hmm. I went to something like 700 stores. So if I find something like that and I see that it sells, I sometimes will make a 10, 12-hour commitment that day and try to hit 50 stores. But you got to be prepared that you might go 4 or 5 stores in a row and not hit nothing. There's a lot of people that as soon as that would happen, they would just give up and not do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've got to not give up, and you've got to broaden your horizons. I see a lot of people that want to just start this game selling Nike shoes. No, that's not how you start. You need to, learn the ropes, learn different categories. So I started off in books, and then I would learn toys, and then I learned bras, and now I'm making myself learn yoga pants, because there are a lot of good yoga pants out there, and it's just one thing that I haven't learned. So as soon as I learn yoga pants, I will then be able to go into the store, and I have, now dozens of different departments I can go to and be confident with my sourcing techniques to find things that will make me money. You can't just go into one store, and we'll just take Walmart during Q4. If all you're doing is going in there and going after one particular Barbie, you're passing up a lot of other things that could be profitable. And, if you have time, go scan the entire store. It's a great learning experience if you have all day to just sit there and scan everything in every section. But I like to break it down and just learn one particular section. Spend a day and scan every single Barbie and see what that nets you. And then maybe go scan camping gear one day, and then go scan towels one day, and see what else you can learn in there to make you some money.
Real quick, Grumpy stopped in. Where's my wrench? Grumpy, this is the first time you're watching me live. You always say you never watch other channels and stuff, so that's why. But welcome, John. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks, Aaron, for stopping in. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I find one thing I'm doing, and I haven't done nothing yet with Amazon, but like you sell on Poshmark and all these other ones, is I'm buying stores now that are going out of business.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good skill to have. My business in general, like, I love learning about all of those things, because when you see the opportunity, you need to know whether you want to jump on it or not, right? I mean, those are the fun stories. Those are exciting. You know, getting stuff for pennies on the dollar and flipping it for lots of money is always exciting, and you don't want to pass those up. But for me, like, I want to establish relationships with vendors where I know that I'm selling 100 of these units every month, and I can consistently count on that profit every month from this vendor on Amazon, and then build off of that. So my direction that my company is taking is a little less from being in the stores and more of the wholesale route, but also the replens from those stores that are consistent. But buying out stores, I mean, I'd love to do storage units. I'd love to buy out stores. That'd be great. I have nowhere to put it. You can see the boxes in my office.
My problem is I don't want to get, and you know, maybe it sounds a little bit scared or afraid. I don't want to. Amazon, that's it.
Yeah.
In other words, I've done online auctions. I only usually do one a month. Now, I haven't done one in probably 3 months, but I want to do eBay. I really want to, even at maybe down the road. Like when you have an opportunity, like I bought $30,000 worth of inventory for $2,200. Now that might be inflated by 20%. So let's say even if it's only worth $20,000, when you can get that for 5 to 8 cents on the dollar, I mean, that's just tremendous opportunity there that I can resell down the road and still make money. What I need to do, and I don't know if you've done this, is I need to learn to create a listing on Amazon and see if I've submitted a picture that there was a listing I was on and didn't have a good picture, and they accepted the picture, but I've never created a listing from scratch. Have you done that or?
Yes, I have done. Let's see here. I've done a regular listing, and I've recently gotten the variation listing done, which was a little bit more complicated. I don't know. I think there was a glitch because it wound up fixing itself, and I don't know how that happened because I didn't do it. But that's Amazon. There's so many things like you're not going to know the answer to, and it either works or it doesn't work. And then I had one where it was a new product, name brand, and for an Easter product that we're getting ready to do. So we wanted to make a listing, and then I got some error code. So I emailed them, and they said, okay, well, what's the title and the blah, 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 the UPC and all this crap, this stuff. Sorry.
That's okay.
And anyhow, I emailed that to Amazon, and they said, yeah, we don't know. We can't find what that error is. We have no record of that error. You need to send us a screenshot of that error code. And I'm like, the error's on your system.
Right.
So yes, creating a listing is not too difficult. If you can do a G10 exemption, that's even better and a little bit more easy. And then I have heard through the grapevine that the GS1 is now doing, like, you can buy 30 barcodes instead of huge amounts.
Okay,
but
yeah.
I've gotten my barcodes in other places, so I've never bought from GS1.
Do you have you seen lately? I've been seeing with toys, they're requesting some sort of document.
Oh, good Lord! Don't get me started on that.
I mean, I got like now 37 requests, and I mean, I saw them earlier in the year, and then they just basically gradually went away. But now, as I've increased some of my, and I do have, honestly, I do have some stuff. I don't have a whole lot left over, but I do have stuff left over from the holidays that, maybe two of this, three of this that didn't sell. I didn't sell out of it. So now here I am stuck with like 37 different items that they're requiring documentation. And I don't know what to do about it, how to handle that.
Oh, well, I know how to handle it, but it is a pain in the butt for sure. Most of my items I'm just going to sell out of because I have ones and twos, and I have till like mid-February or whatnot to sell out. So price to sell, create a sale, whatever you got to do, sell out of. I do have like over 900 coloring books in my garage, and they want safety documentation on coloring books. And I'm going, really? Just don't get a paper cut. Like, what could be wrong with a coloring book? So I reached out to my supplier, and she's reaching out to the manufacturer, and she's like, well, do you need the SDS or the children's compliance? And I'm like, just ask for both. I don't know. It doesn't tell me. They're not very good, but whatever paperwork you can get, something that I can submit so that I can get this stuff moved, because I don't want it in my garage for ever. So I got to start looking at other platforms, though, to move this inventory, because I can't really sit on this many coloring books for life. Most of the time, the supplier or the brand will have that information. You can totally call the brand up and ask them, or go to their website. Sometimes it's public, sometimes it's not. Take Bath and Body Works. I do a lot of Bath and Body Works stuff. You can usually Google and find their MSDS online out there. If not, you can email them and request the safety documentation for it. If you have a wholesaler like my coloring books, you email your rep and they will look into it and try to get you that information. Then you got to get it over to Amazon and get it accepted. Now, they send it out. Let's say that there's 5 people selling my coloring books. They're going to send it out to all 5 of us. And the first person to get it in, it will then should clear up and get off of your dashboard.
Okay, so in other words, if of those 37 items, half of them, somebody else could already be submitting documents and it'll clear it up then.
Yeah, to my knowledge, that's how it's worked in the past. Now, remember, Amazon is always subject to change as however they feel fit, which is annoying at times. In the fall, I got hit with a bunch of scrubs that needed pesticide information. I just pulled them and I'm going to put them over on eBay. It was like less than 20, so it's not worth my time to try and find pesticide information on freaking scrub pants. Plus, I doubt they'd even have that information.
Right. Well, Lucy, we're basically at the 1 hour mark, and I know we wanted to keep this at a hour.
That's just roughly. I mean, I'm not like.
Okay, so we'll give a couple more minutes here. If anyone's got here, Aaron's got a quick question. I just want to be conscientious of your time and and having kids and we are busy, have schedules and things like that. Yes, I really appreciate you doing this with me, and I'm hoping, to be honest, this is the first time I met you that we can network and chat like this again in the future, because you learn, and without having to ask exactly what you're selling, and you learn different methods of sourcing for Amazon. Now, Aaron, I'm not sure why continue to support Amazon. What's that mean?
If you want the general sense, Amazon's the biggest platform out there that has stuff for sale. They have the largest customer base with people with their credit cards ready to buy stuff. That's where you want to be. I mean, until somebody else can match them, that's where everybody is. Now, Walmart is growing. However, I've heard that Walmart's infrastructure is not quite as smooth, and they don't have quite all the kinks worked out, but they probably will this week. As far as buying stuff, I do show quite a bit on my haul videos and my shop with me videos on what I'm looking for and what I'm actually purchasing. And for those one-off type things, I have no problem sharing that type of information. And the technique, though, is kind of the same. You go into a store or online, whether it's online, a wholesale or a retail arbitrage type of store, I'm going to go in and I always like to look at the clearance first and see what the tags are. Some stores, every store is going to do their clearance differently. Some are intermixed, some have a section. And then I will go to the sections that I'm after for what I'm looking for. And that's going to be, again, different for different stores. You'll start learning them. I'm really close to Big Lots, and I can tell you I can walk into my Big Lots. I have 2 or 3 replens that I just go to the shelf, scoop them into my cart, and then maybe I'll do some scanning on whatever whatever area is on sale. If toys are on sale, I'm going to go scan some toys. But there are definitely areas that I'm not going to scan because, they're not applicable to my business, like patio furniture. I'm not into patio furniture, and I don't really want to ship patio furniture.
Right.
Or let's say bathroom rugs. There's really no bathroom rugs over at Big Lots that are going to make you money. It's just not there. They're not.
I saw a guy post on Instagram, and that's what I was going to ask you too, is what your thought is on games. I mean, I see there's two people I know that do tremendous number selling Xbox, PlayStation 4, and those, you would think that would be so easy because it's a small first class item. It's easy to ship, slide it in a good padded, really strong, and ship it out. But I guess it must be difficult to get on there. Otherwise, a lot of people would be doing it.
You have to. That's something I always say as well, is you have to source what's in your area. I mean, I've tried to do games. I love games. We are total gamer people here. If you saw the rest of the decor in the office, are total gaming geeks in this household, both board games and online games, computer games, etc. And so it's a niche that I love and I have some knowledge about. But when I go out sourcing, there's either got to be a lot of other resellers in my area that's their thing, or I'm just late to the party, or I don't have the supply. Whatever it is, I don't find them here in my area. I have done GameStops. I have tried Walmarts. I've tried, all of the stores and the clearance and this and that. I have a friend who they literally walk in and it's just money on the shelves. And I'm going, oh my God, I wish my shelves looked like that. So right. I can either sit here and say, gosh, I wish I lived in your area to do that. Or I just got to find things that are in my area that are good. Like the candy I talked about earlier. It's in a local drugstore. Instacart picked it up. I had it here in a couple of hours and I'm making like $8 a pack off of those. I have a lot of, I live near the most diverse area code in the United States. So I've got all sorts of ethnic foods here that you're not going to find in other areas. So you know what? Get familiar with Japanese candies. That's a niche that probably not a lot of other people have available to them. So you got to sell within your area.
I've done well with meltables, and you may not be but and I'm trying to build it up that if I sold, let's say, 200 of an item a week and made $1.50, $2, I'm trying to build up that I have a core. In other words, if I need $1,000 a month, that I have a core $1,000 a month, and then everything else after that is like extra. And I don't feel like I have to make the same on every item. I know there's some people out there like, if I can't make $20, I'm not gonna do it.
Oh, I would love to make $20 off of my items, but I haven't found ones that are like that. My core items, I tell you, are everyday items people are looking for, replenishable to me, that are wholesale, and I'm selling hundreds of them a month. And they are in areas that you probably wouldn't guess that they were in, and they are consistently selling every month. So yeah, build up those. And once you find one that's like a little gold mine, it's great, because then it kind of takes the pressure to have to go off to the stores and find that clearance all the time.
Right. Well, and that's one thing I want to say too before we go here is I kind of had to teach myself that not all clearance is equal, because there's a lot of junk clearance. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, even if you got for 50 cents or $1, it's just not worth it. I mean, the item might sell for $4 or $5, but who cares until you pay fees, or the stuff just doesn't sell. That would be stuff, to be honest, if you picked it up real cheap, that if you did a local flea market, or you wanted to make a jumbo box and sell it on eBay, that would work. But as far as Amazon, I mean, I see so much. I mean, I've been in so many Dollar Generals. There's a lot of clearance, but a lot of it's just junk. And they won't sell it sometimes for cheap enough to. Now, I did luck out one time. They had a candle that sells for $10 on Amazon, and it was $3, but that weekend it was 50% off of clearance. So I got it for $1.50, and I pretty much made $2 on every candle. Now I only found like 25 of them, but now what I'm finding, how I do better with FBM, is when people buy multiples.
Mm-hmm.
When they start buying, and I even offer, I don't know if you do this, but I offer quantity discounts.
Okay.
Just because I try to encourage people to, get an extra 10 or 15% off and get the second one, because, there are some things that the shipping cost is already it's going to be the same to ship 2 or 3. It doesn't
Yep.
even matter. But now all of a sudden, let's say on that one bottle, I'm making $5, but on that second bottle, I'm actually making $8 because the shipping has already been paid for. So I have done that and have done very well with that, where people have bought, quantity of 10 at a time.
I definitely look at all sorts of things when I'm out there sourcing. If we'll just say what item has a profit of $2, you may say, okay, well, $2 isn't worth my time. If there's 40 of them there and there's no stickers to remove and all I got to do is slap a tag and ship, they're going in my cart, because that's now $80 worth of profit for a very little time and effort involved.
Right.
If I need to take stickers off and put it in a bag and then in a box and store it, or it's not moving fast,
it could break. Right.
Yeah, then it's not worth.
Right.
It plays into your decision making for sure. I have passed a profit that is less than $3 because it's like it's too much hassle. It's not worth my time.
Well, that was one of the things when I bought this toy. You know what I wasn't prepared for? I didn't have a box that size.
Oh, yeah.
And I had some old eBay boxes, and I had good brown tape to cover the eBay logo, and the first 3 or 4, but I immediately had to travel an hour and 15 minutes to go pick up 100 boxes at Uline, because the way I was selling them, and like I said, I can't wait. I got get down there and get them. And I'm glad I did, because I went to the local UPS store and they wanted $6 for that box, where if I bought 100 of them, it was $1.25 a piece.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Supplies can be very.
So that's where you got to be smart too, because if you're only making X amount on an item and you're giving away, you're overpaying for a box. There goes part of your profit. So, hey, what I want to leave this on, and I want to real quick ask Lucy one more question, and I'm hoping to, this is just January, that we can talk again in the future, but. I basically just want to talk real quick. Do you have goals set for yourself this year that you want to do?
Yes. I have a few goals, but to sum it up, I want to build systems. Monetarily wise, I'm thinking about $500,000 for sales is kind of where I'd like to aim for. And strategies to get there is to build more wholesale with my friend Tina and build more replens and possibly bring on another packer. I need more employees to do what I want to do, whether that's a VA or a packer.
So what do you feel yourself? What do you feel that you could comfortably do? Like I don't want to throw out your number. I mean, you did post on Instagram what you did last year. What do you feel that you can do a year? In other words, people that are watching, I don't want them to think that they have to hire employees and stuff like that. Like me, comfortably, I can do $20,000 a month. I could do $240,000 by myself, and no problems. Now, obviously, stepping up, adding, let's say, another 100,000 on that, you're going to have to change some things the way you do if you want to get to that number.
And that's about where I'm at. Let's see here. 1, 2, divided by 12. Last year, I averaged about 30,000 every month. It was a little over 360 total, give or take. Like I'd have to look at the numbers again,
right.
But roughly about 30,000 a month in sales. And I brought in my packer in September, so my son helped me a little bit over the summer, but I honestly could have done it all myself. But it was physically nice to get the help. So I would say right around the 300,000 range, unless if you're doing higher end items, then it's time to bring on help. See, I have a lot of lower end items, but we'll say in the $12 to $20 range.
Right.
If I wanted to source things that were more around the $40 range with a higher profit, then I could do less items going forward. But, I have just a lot of items that put this into a bag, add a sticker, and I could do it myself, I guess is where I'm going with that. But I'm at that stage where I want to do a lot more building on my business instead of putting things in a bag. So in order to get the time to work on my business, I've got to outsource those types of easy items to get the time to build the growth.
Right.
Does that make sense? I hope that made sense.
No, it does. Hey, I want to thank everyone for stopping in today. If you guys could give me thumbs up. In the description, if anyone wants to reach out to Lucy on Instagram, Reseller Mom, she is on Instagram. And I always, when I have guests on my show, I always have their channel. So if you guys can go over there and check out her channel, subscribe to it, and help her, I'd appreciate that. If you're new to my channel, like and subscribe to my channel. I actually did a show yesterday talking about baseball cards because I'm a reseller of cards, and it's a niche that I like. And
just baseball, or do you have other cards that you're into?
Baseball primarily, but I've done wrestling and a little bit of football, but baseball primarily. I had a guy from Topps with me yesterday. So
my son and husband, they collect Magic cards.
Oh, okay.
And it's like a drug, I think. And now we have thousands of cards, and they keep telling me that it's an investment. And I said it's only an investment if you sell it, and they don't sell it, so they're hoarders. Anyhow. That's my take on cards.
Now, is this Tina Corner? Is she your friend that's in here right now?
Yes, she is.
Okay, yeah. She says, I need help with cards. Reach out to me sometime. I love, sometimes it's always hard to come up with subject matter. And for me, I honestly just try to portray myself. I don't always want to do a video that I bought a pair of jeans for $2 and sold them for $8 on eBay. But boy, when I can get into something that I'm really passionate about, enjoy talking about, the show goes fast and stuff like that. And today, the show actually went very fast. So I appreciate everyone that has stopped in and showed your support. And you'll see us back again, me and Lucy. I enjoyed having her on here. I want to thank everybody.
Yes, thank you, everybody, for joining. I love seeing all the questions out there.
Thank you, guys.